Greetings, everyone. My name is Jonathan Bailey. I am from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And today I want to do a follow-up on something I posted on, well, here, about music licensing. See, I did a music licensing and music copyright 101 article that I think has gone pretty well. A lot of people seem to be interested in it. And one of the questions I got almost immediately after I posted it is, okay, what does this mean for music licensing on YouTube? And that's actually a really good question, because music licensing on YouTube is a mess, to put it very, very bluntly. And it's a mess on YouTube because it's a mess pretty much everywhere. It's not like these are problems exclusive to YouTube. But it's very important, if you are a YouTuber and you want to put music in your videos, that you understand these rules. Now, we all know that YouTube has deals with the record labels. And in fact, this is an article here from, this is at Music Business Worldwide, talking about how Universal Music Group is in a month-to-month contract. And they also go down further here. You can see, and I got it highlighted already, that there's a passage talking about how Sony and Warner has deals with YouTube too. And yes, there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of concern about whether these deals are fair or whether they're paying adequate royalties, but that's not really important to this. We can go back into that later if you want. But the main thing is those deals exist. So everyone wonders, why on earth is it that every time I seem to include music in one of my YouTube videos, I get a content ID claim, I get a copyright claim, or I even get a copyright strike sometimes? And why does it come from these organizations that I've never heard of? Well, I'm going to explain it. It's actually very complicated, but I'm going to try to make it simple. I will do my best to make this simple and bearable, and I'm going to include some bullet points in this. I hate bullet points, especially in YouTube videos, but yeah, you'll get it in a minute. I'm sorry, guys. But anyways, with every song, there are actually two works at play, and with two works come two copyrights. Those two works are the composition of the work and the sound recording. Now, the composition is literally anything you can lay your eyes upon. It's anything you can see. It's the notes on the page, like in the little image there. It's the lyrics. It's the band arrangement, if it's that type of music. The sound recording is anything you can hear. It's the MP3 file. It's, the CD, whatever. However, you're listening to it. It's the sound recording. And the result of this is that there are actually two sets of rights that you have to think about and have to consider in order to correctly and completely license your music. And that's kind of the challenge we're dealing with here. Now, let's start by talking about the composition. Compositional licensing, there are four main licenses you have to consider. There's the public performance license, which is basically the license that you pay out whenever you are listening. Well, like for example, a store has music going on in the background. They have to pay a public performance license to the composer. Now, these are often also called publishing licenses too. I should have said that earlier. So think of this as composition/publishing licenses. So yeah, you have the public performance license, and that's also true in bars and other venues as well. There's the synchronization license. This is when you take a song and you synchronize it, quote unquote, to any kind of audiovisual media. You might be guessing we're coming back to this one in a second. Then there's the mechanical license. This is the one that enables you to sell copies of it. This comes up a lot when musicians do cover songs. They have to pay a mechanical license to the composer in order to sell CDs or iTunes downloads or put it in Spotify, whatever. And then there's the print license. And this is the license that deals with the actual composition itself. You've seen those song books that are like 3 bajillion songs or whatever. Yeah, they had to pay print licenses to be able to publish those songs. It might seem irrelevant when we're talking about YouTube, but bear in mind the print license also covers lyrics. So let's say you do a YouTube video where you put the lyrics up on the screen. You also need a print license for the lyrics in addition to the sync license. Now, when looking at the sound recording, or as the industry calls it, the master license, there are just simply two. There's the master license, which is the license to use the song in pretty much any means. This means selling CDs with it. It can mean putting it in a video. It can mean putting it in Spotify, almost whatever. And since there's no public performance right in the traditional sense for sound recordings in the United States, there really isn't one for what we think of as like ASCAP and BMI. But there is a public performance license when it comes to interactive digital streams, such as what we're seeing with SiriusXM, Pandora, and all that, or I should say digital radio. not interactive digital streams, they're under the master license, I misspoke. But yes, Pandora, SiriusXM, those types of things, those non-interactive digital streams, there is a public performance license needed there. So long and short of it is you have 6 different licenses. 6. I guess it should be 6. For music. And that is just a part of the reason why it's so complicated. You have 2 works, 6 licenses, 1 song. And if you're putting stuff on YouTube, well, here are the requirements you really need to focus on. First is the master license. That's provided from the record label. There's the sync license, which comes from the publisher. And then there's the print license if you're doing lyrics, like I said, or putting some part of the actual composition on the screen. You need that, and it also comes from the publisher. So yeah. Now the question is, well, YouTube should solve this. They should go out and do exactly what they did with the record labels. I mean, I just pointed you to the article where they went out and got the licenses from the record labels. And yes, big debate over how much is being paid, whatever, but the licenses exist. So that master licensing, if we go back to the requirements for YouTube, that first item, the master license, is done. Should not be a problem. You may not be able to monetize videos that you put third-party music in simply because that money is going to go to the record labels or go to the rights holders, but it's not actually going to be a copyright strike, for example. But what about the sync license? Can't they just go out and at least get the sync license? Well, they've kind of tried. You see, look at this article here. This is on the Tennessean, but it's I believe that this type of article is all over the place. But basically, not that long ago, it was actually December 2016, YouTube struck a deal with the National Media Publishers Association, NMPA, to basically provide said sync license for all of its members. Now, there's a huge problem here. The long and short of it is that the deal is opt-in. I'm trying to find the passage where it talks about it. But yes, the deal is opt-in. The publishers that are members of the NMPA do not have to participate in this deal. And here's the other thing. The NMPA has, by itself, and it doesn't include all music publishers, has 500 members. Now compare this for a minute. With the record labels talking about the master license, you have kind of 3.5 record labels. You have Warner, Sony, Universal, and you have Merlin, which is kind of a conglomerate of independent labels that operates, as one unit. And by the way, I did a video about Merlin previously. I'm making a note to myself to put the card up here, so when I go back and edit it, I'll add that in for you. Now, the real frustration here and the real problem is there are so many publishers, and getting these sync licenses is so complicated, it is virtually impossible to get everything. And that is what YouTube has been battling and trying to license everything. So yes, oftentimes when you do include third-party music, it can get taken down. It can get content ID strikes that involve muting and not just simply like monetization strikes like you're seeing a lot of times with ones where it is permitted. And these can be very nasty for a YouTube channel. So my general advice to people is, if you wish to include music in your YouTube channel, and you probably should, I'm probably being lackadaisical for not doing it, but if you wish to do it, you can pull from YouTube's library of permitted songs. These are songs they have all the needed rights to, and they will enable you to monetize. Or, if you so wish, you can find music from from these various sites that allow you to put it in YouTube. Bear in mind, though, content ID mismatches are still a thing in those cases. So, it doesn't necessarily mean you're free and clear of accidental matches or mistaken identity. All in all, music licensing on YouTube is a big mess, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. This system of all these publishers has been around for decades. In fact, the NMPA itself just celebrated its 100th anniversary. So yeah, this is an old, antiquated system that, frankly, isn't up to date with everything going on. So definitely keep this in mind as you're including music in your videos, and be thinking about how you can find music that works better for YouTube. Basically, find things that you have all those rights to. There are sources out there. Give them a search, find places, and I guess be safe, guys. All in all, this is a huge quagmire. I would not be wandering into it if I could at all avoid it. But on that note, that is all I have for this week. I thank you very much for your time and attention. Hope you learned something. Hope this was helpful. Until next time, this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.